7:30 on the dot here on a Tuesday morning. It is April the 4th. This is Coffee Talk, where we get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. We normally do it at 8, but scheduling wise here in Houston, I have to be out the door at 8 o'clock Eastern time. It's 6:30 our time, and I just hope that my talking isn't waking people up in the hotel rooms around me. If I get a noise complaint, that's what that is. At any rate, Norman, Debbie, Carrie, good morning. We'll talk a little bit about the weather, and then we'll have some story time. I want to share with you all that had happened yesterday. It's been quite an adventure, we'll say. But let's just start off with a live look. There's downtown Orlando. It's still dark as Halloween here, but what a beautiful start to the day there in Florida. It's not that I'm going to be glad to get home. I mean, I am. My family's there. I love Florida, but you can't beat that weather. It's been a nice breezy one here. So downtown Orlando is looking absolutely fantastic. First warning, live Doppler radar. Looking pretty good. Some garbly gook, nothing really going on. Temperatures out the door looking outstanding. 69 in Orlando, 64 degrees for us in Leesburg, 60 degrees in Ocala. Breakfast. 63 degrees in DeLand and 61 degrees in Palm Coast. So it looks like a wonderful start to the day. We look to our 12-hour forecast, and it's going to be another hot one, right? Temperatures today climbing to 92 degrees by the afternoon, at least in Orlando. Now, there is a 20% chance of rain. There's not a lot of rain that's going to fall, so don't get your hopes up with that. All right, 89 by 1 o'clock, 92 degrees, our high temperature on the day today. Here's a look around Central Florida, by the way, just for full transparency, right? 92 in Orlando, 90 degrees in Sanford, 89 for us in DeLand, 82, 83 Palm Coast, Daytona Beach, 84 to 87 from Melbourne back over to Palm Bay. So it is a nice toasty day across Central Florida. No doubt about it. The heat, by the way, I think today gets to record levels. So let's talk about some of those record numbers, okay? Around Central Florida, here are our record-keeping stations. We're going to be within a degree at Orlando International Airport. We're going to be within 2 degrees there in Sanford. We'll be, I think, shattering the old record set back in the 1960s in Leesburg. And along the shoreline, that onshore breeze, thankfully, we'll keep things nice and comfortable. So not bad, but it is going to be hot today. And for full transparency, we have now had 11 days of 90 degree plus heat. Today will be day 12, right? By the way, there is a rocket launch scheduled on Friday. It's the Falcon 9 Intelsat rocket launch early in the morning. I will not be up for that. Yeah. All right, so today, near record heat. Tomorrow, near record heat, right? We're going to be the same area on Wednesday. Burn bans are posted around many Central Florida counties, and we do, as a matter of fact, continue that severe drought. That severe drought certainly is a concern because we are not getting rainfall, right? And because we're not getting rainfall, the concern... Hold on a second. Got a tissue just to wipe my webcam. I feel like I was blurry. Maybe I'm still blurry. I don't know. But the concern is that trying to block the light. The lighting in the hotel is a little harsh, so I apologize. But the concern is we're not getting rainfall. So the drought conditions are continuing to add up. If we just look at the yearly numbers, this will put it into perspective, okay? Look at Orlando. We are nearly 6 inches of rain behind where we should be. Look at Leesburg. We're over 6 inches behind where we should be. So as these drought conditions continue to continue to get worse and worse, our Keach-Byram Drought Index numbers will continue to get worse and worse. And I know I'm trying to get through the weather because I want to do story time. But these Keach-Byram Drought Index numbers, yellows and oranges, are pretty critical territory. And what the Keach-Byram Drought Index is It's essentially a way to measure how much moisture do we need to hit the soil to return us to neutral conditions. Obviously, we've got some issues there across the metro area south. That's where there's a severe drought. There's concern about this, certainly concern about this. So it's something to keep in mind. All right. All right. Let's look at the 7-day forecast. And then I want to do story time after I answer any questions you have. So ask away your weather questions, my friends. By the way, heat continues. Friday, upper 80s. There will be some storms around this weekend, which does include Easter Sunday. All right. At least that helps to drop the temperatures just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right, questions, comments, concerns, and then we'll do our story time to chat about day one of hanging out here at the Johnson Space Center, which is so cool, so cool, so cool. Let's see here. Good morning. What was the Keach-Byram drought numbers from the 98 wildfires? To be fully transparent, I don't know. I'd have to look and see if that's logged anywhere. I would imagine, though, that it was on the top end of the echelon, which means the reds, not just the yellows and the oranges. No big cold fronts coming, not in our 7-day forecast, my friends. We've got the heat and the humidity around. Average high temperature has now climbed to 82. Yeah, we're well above that. All right, we can come back to the weather in just a few minutes' time, should anyone have any questions or comments. But are you good with some story time, y'all? All right, so let me just share the day. So we get together, we get on the bus. Now, this is not just to meet the astronauts, okay? This is not just a Artemis II crew announcement day. It's also kind of a NASA social. So the idea was, in addition to meeting people, the astronauts, we're also touring the campus here at Johnson Space Center. So let's just start off. First thing I saw, and to me this is just incredible. I know it's so ancillary, but yet that sign, I feel like I need to make that sign up and put it in my office at home. Life is short. Do stuff that matters. Okay, ancillary as it may be, it struck me. All right, then we met in the One Giant Leap room. Okay, and we all kind of had a conversation, and that was all well and good. After the conversation, we headed over to Ellington Field, just up the road, and in that hangar there was the crew announcement for Artemis II. And that's what I streamed on my social channels. This is what it looked like. It was, it was a madhouse. There were politicians were there. All the NASA heads were there. Every single astronaut was there. Okay, so that's, no big deal. Just hanging out with astronauts. Had to take this picture because, why not? Right? Like at the end of the day, why not? All right, I'll block the spammer. Blocked. Debbie says Orange Watch Band Day. Well, I don't know what I'm it definitely was yesterday. I don't know what I'm going to wear today. I still have the orange band. I may switch it out. Yesterday it was for the shuttle. It was like a callback to the shuttle. So anyway, so here's all the astronauts standing in front of a T-38 like, and did you notice too on the left, and of course I didn't take a big enough shot, you've got your stage with the Artemis screen there. On the left side's a T-38. That's where all the astronauts went. On the right side was an Orion capsule. Like, for what it's worth, that puppy was there. So left side of the stage, you've got the entire astronaut corps there. So if nothing else, I can be like, yeah, I hung out in the same room with all the astronauts. Debbie said, you had the biggest smile. Yes, ma'am, I had the biggest smile, perhaps on the planet. Like, you know what it is before they made the crew announcement, you're looking at these people and you're realizing history is about to be made. You're realizing that these are the people that are going to the International Space Station. These are the people that will be building the gateway that will orbit the moon. These are the people that will be walking again on the moon. These men, these women from different races, different religions, different countries, different backgrounds. Wow. And let me go back. I'll go back to that in a few seconds. But anyway, so the 4 get announced. You all saw it on the interwebs, hopefully, or on the newscast. I took some pictures. I took some video. There they are. I mean, and having, by the way, having had the chance to watch this was already surreal and incredible. Hearing them talk about each other was already surreal and incredible. And then the next thing happened. Now let me set the stage, okay? So after the announcement was made, my group got hurried off into what looked like a break room, if I'm honest, and we kind of sat. It's like a conference room break room, and of course I picked I picked not the best picture to share with you, and I apologize, just because one of the astronauts' eyes are closed. But I want you to understand how close I got to them. So picture this. So after the crew announcement's made, big deal. Okay, cool. They take us to the back and they say, all right, now we're going to have an opportunity to sit down and ask some questions and chat with the astronauts. Okay, so we take our seats, and no joke, with zero zoom, this was my view of them. I sat, I mean, if I leaned forward to tie my shoe, I could have also tied his shoe. What? So we sat down and we had story time, and it was just unbelievable. Learning, not just about their professional worlds, learning about their personal worlds, learning about who they are. I mean, and of course, while this is happening, this picture gets released, and it's like, oh my God, like hero status. Like, these are the next 4 people that are leading civilization to another celestial body. That's not lost on me. It really is not lost on me. Okay, so we're sitting there, we're chatting, and this picture, and I know I posted it, but this picture was taken, and you can see me. I mean, like, come on, guys. Like, we got to hang with the astronauts minutes after they were announced. Okay, now let's chat a little bit about these guys. Okay. When asked what made him special to go to the moon, the Canadian astronaut simply said, I realized I wasn't special. I realized, and it's when I realized that I wasn't special, that's when my life changed. Like, the perspectives that these men and women gave, if I'm honest with you, and I'm still kind of on the high of all of this, so I'm kind of still trying to process it, but the way that they talked spoke to me in that they recognize that what they're doing is so much greater than them. And listen, we all have colleagues that we've either work with, or what have you. But the humility, the family dynamic, the desire to work as a team, and the expectation that there is no one not pulling their weight. And maybe it's the astronaut way, right? But I sat in this room, and this is going to sound so cheesy, and it's fine if you want to make fun. It's fine if you want to make fun of me silently. But let me just say this: when I sat in this room and listened to these 4 talk, And it was not on stage. I mean, if I'm telling you, there were probably 40 people in the room, including the dang astronauts and their handlers. Like, it was a very intimate setting. I felt like, you know what? These are the 4 types of people I would want to be heroes. You know? These are the 4 types of people that when I'm teaching my children about this, these are the 4 types of people that I want. Reed Weissman used to run the astronaut office. You can tell he's a leader through and through. Christina Koch, you could tell not only is she a STEM advocate, but you could tell she is a brilliant mind and such an overwhelmingly logical thinker. The way that she would respond to questions says, this is perhaps one of the smartest people I've ever seen in my life. Victor Glover, the gentleman in the back, I don't want to say that I was blown away by him, but I was. First off, I ran into him randomly at the Kennedy Space Center for another launch. And so he and I kept like meeting eyes because we know that we had seen each other, but we just didn't remember where. But Victor Glover is a natural born leader. Mark my words, Victor Glover is a name you are going to hear about over and over and over again. This man, I was in awe of what he was saying. Every word he said, I was in awe. That is a man y'all want to follow. I'm just telling you straight up, okay? And the Canadian Space Agency's representative, Jeremy Hansen, his logical thinking, his brutally honest responses, and his understanding that this is more than just him. This is more than just Canada. And I shared this on WESH 2 News last night at 10 and 11. But one thing that struck me, and I want to share it again with you all, he pointed out that NASA could have done all of this alone, and forget the fact that the SLS rocket has pieces from all over the world. The European Space Agency built this. It's such an international project. But he continuously went back, first off, to being so proud to represent Canada. But moreover, speaking to how NASA is doing this in a worldly mentality, not because they have to, but because it's the right thing to do. This is pushing human civilization forward. And is there a space race anymore, or is this a concerted effort to work together? That really struck me. That really, really struck me. When he said he's not happy with the way the world is right now, people are bickering and fighting, we've got to work together, and that's going to have to happen in the future. When he was speaking, dude, I was just sitting back thinking to myself, how in the heck did I end up in a room with these 4 people that I'm putting on a pedestal now? That happened. And so if nothing else, do your research on these 4. And you know what something is? I bet you every single one of those NASA astronauts has similar stories. They are larger than life people. They are heroes. I can tell you, I will be dang proud to teach my children about these 4 pioneers, just as I'm proud to teach them about the Buzz Aldrins, Gus Grissams, right? Wally Schirras, Neil Armstrongs of the world, Jim Lovell's of the world. I will be so proud to add these 4 names and continue through the Artemis generation. So that was that. But you know what's something? That wasn't even the rest of that. Like, that was done by like 11 o'clock Central Time. Okay, so we got to meet him. Yeah, I've got the dumbest smile on my face. Don't even care. Then we went on to the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory. Okay, got to go in, and this is a big pool, y'all. This is a big pool. Doing a lot. There's a life-sized International Space Station underneath it. It's 40 feet deep. I think he said it was 200 plus feet long and 100 plus feet wide. We've all seen this room on TV or in movies, certainly, right? Like, it doesn't look like much there. All of the astronauts that work in here sign it. If you look right in there, that's Neil Armstrong's signature. Okay, no big deal. That's the most special, they said, of the lot. No big deal. And all elements of this room are videoed and photographed and monitored below. I just had to take this. Not that we're going to report any problems and contact 25999, but rather I went around the room to make sure everyone had their pagers set to vibrate. I'm an idiot. I'm in a room with brilliant scientists, and I'm the idiot that says that. Anyway, this is a view from above, and I think that that's wild, right? Like, that's the International Space Station, or at least mock-ups of it underground. One thing that's also something, and you can kind of see it, and I wish that I'd taken a closer picture, but on some of these TVs, here, for example, they're already starting, what their project was on the day that we were there, they were putting dirt in. They were putting dirt in because they're starting to work on getting astronauts ready to walk on the lunar surface. They will set up that 1/6 gravity so that astronauts can be ready to walk on the Earth's surface. Or, excuse me, on the lunar surface. Okay, that's cool. So anyway, that's wild. Let's see. Had to take this picture outside. Reserved parking for suited subject astronaut. Okay, no big deal. Next up, y'all, was the food laboratory. This is the room, and they have pictures of astronauts sitting like right where we were. This is the room where, before you go to space, you tell them what types of foods you like. You taste all the foods. These are all freeze-dried foods. I had to take a picture, of course, of the Kona coffee. Kona coffee with sugar. You know. That's my pick. But what was so interesting, these are the Russian supplies. They've got special foods for the Russians, if you want. But, like there's short ribs, there's peanuts. This was a fascinating experience. They send up the pantry supplies, and then they also have individual elements, that you would like. So it gives everybody opportunity. If you like something else, they can request it. So I thought that was cool. It was a very fascinating experience talking about the food. Debbie says it's truly about time. Countries are all about lines drawn. Earth has no lines drawn to divide people. This is the way it should be. Thank you, NASA, for inviting a man from Canada, Debbie says. Yeah, that's one thing that I think all of the astronauts that come back, I feel like they all share that same common thread, which is when you're above, you don't see the borders. So it comes with this different perspective. And I think I've heard more than one astronaut say it makes them sad when they get back because they recognize that people are trying to draw these borders and do these things. And yeah, okay. After that, if that wasn't enough, we then ventured on to Hera. In one of the buildings, think of it as Big Brother NASA style. It's an analog, and the idea is you literally they're non-astronauts, but they take astronaut type people, lock them in this room for 45 days and study their behaviors. And they are pretending they're astronauts. They're doing experiments. They're working. They're doing EVAs through virtual reality. Okay, and every single element is monitored. They can't leave for 45 days. Once a week, they get to go into an airlock and talk with their families. I mean, they make mission patches. But the purpose of Hera, and this is inside Hera, it looks just like a space station. I mean, it's like 600 square feet. But the purpose of Hera is to run an analog to see how the psychological elements of confinement are. The next session that they're running will go a year. A 1-year confinement, because what they're doing is they're trying to test the elements on the mental ability in confinement, because the next one, the year is leading us to the idea, can humans handle confinement for a year going to Mars? And so it was fascinating. It was fascinating. Okay. They're also always looking for volunteers, by the way. So if you're interested in something like that, like Google Hera. All right. Then we went to mission control. What? Went by the blue flight control room, went into the white flight control room. This was the flight control room that ran the Artemis mission. Of course, I had to hang out at the Capcom station. And this is Zeb, by the way. This is one of the flight directors. His name, by the way, Zebulon. Yeah. With a name like that, you know you're going to remember him. So, day one was absolutely thrilling. I could go on and on about the experience, particularly the experience of meeting the astronauts, just because I don't want to say that I got emotional, but like I could tell that it's one of those core memory moments, you know, like I feel like I'm going to remember this forever. And I was telling my family yesterday, I feel like if I'm honest, I feel like looking to the launch of Artemis 2 when I'm at the Kennedy Space Center covering that, I feel like I'm going to get emotional watching that launch. Knowing that people I've met, people that I truly felt a connection with, are on that rocket, and watch them make history, I feel like I'm going to be overwhelmed. And that's fantastic. I cannot wait for that moment. Millie's asking, is there any personal space on Hera? So they said the last analog, they took the bathroom door off. Each analog, they try to test different dynamics to see how it plays out. So the last version, they took the door off the bathroom. So that should tell you everything you need to know. Scott says, definitely core memory stuff. Yeah, buddy. And it's thanks to you, by the way, Scott. Debbie, how many millions of questions did Eric ask me? You know, he didn't. I don't think he understands, and I haven't shown him the pictures yet. Like, I think that we'll get there, but I don't think he quite understands what's happening. He's just, if I'm honest, he's just sad that I'm not there, right? And I get it. I'm sad I'm not there. So, yeah. What's the date of the launch? Next year. I believe it's Q3 or Q4 of 2024. Yeah. So much for taking those few minutes to lock yourself in the bathroom. But I think that's the point of it, right? Yeah. How strong was the space coffee you got? You know, I was going to ask if I could taste it, but they weren't offering to like make it, and I didn't want to be that guy. So yeah. Yvette says, who knows, Eric? Maybe you can be the first meteorologist in space. You know, I have such desire to cover and to share their stories that, you know, if I never go to space, that's okay too. Did you get to tell the astronauts that you cover the launches? You know, Janet, it was such a whirlwind for them, and there were some people that were maybe a little less respectful of their time. Like you could tell when our time with them was done, Jimmy John showed up for them, and I was not going to participate in literally eating into their lunch break. So Victor and I shook each other's hand because we kept, it was like, I know I've seen you before. He said, you know, and I didn't say anything. I literally, if I'm 100% honest, I just said thank you and Godspeed, and he kind of smiled and said thank you, and it was a very, very quick moment, but for me, that's a moment I will just never forget. And it's funny because I couldn't remember at the time where I knew him, and then I remembered, my God, he was doing launch coverage with NASA TV for one of the launches at the Kennedy Space Center. We ran into each other walking at the press hill there, at the press site. So that's what, and then I'm like, oh, that's where I remember Victor from, because I'm like, I know I've met the guy. So anyway, it was something else, and I'll share plenty of other stories with you, you know, in the days and weeks and months and all that fun stuff ahead. And certainly going to launch Artemis 2, holy crap, I cannot wait. Wesh better let me cover that puppy, okay? All right, real quick, business to attend to. Make sure everybody knows today, quick sprinkle or so south of town. 92 the high temperature, staying nice and toasty next couple of days. Rain chances on the increase this weekend. What an experience. What an experience. Man, what an experience. Debbie says Victor nominated for the Coffee Talk drive-through. If there's any way, I don't know that I could, but if there's any way, my God. What's left for today, Jeannie's asking. I have no idea. I know that the first half of the day is touring, and then the second half of the day I get to go to Space Center Houston, which is like their visitor complex. So yeah, I'll do that. Man, who knows what the heck is on the docket for today? God only knows. But you know, I'll be sharing as much as I can with you all. And that's everything. Yeah. All right. All right, listen. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thanks for hanging out for early coffee talk. So tomorrow my flight, I believe my flight is at 8:30. I don't know what time I'll do coffee talk. I need to figure out the schedules and I'll go from there. If you see Victor again while there, give him your contact info. Tell him about Coffee Talk Tractor and ask him if he'll be a part of it. Let him watch some of the past. Yeah, exactly. All right. That's all I got. Listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk, and I will see you guys later on. All right. Be good. Bye, y'all. Because I may be able to do something at 3:30 today. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Bye, y'all.